Once again, I forgot my lav mic, which is really annoying because I don't really like to necessarily use my wireless mic the way that I have it on my chest, because it just, yeah, my hair gets in the way and it's just not the best. If you follow my newsletter, then you'll know that I've been talking about planning videos just to make vlogging a lot easier, but I would say that it's okay sometimes not to do that. Like today, I literally just wanted to come out. I just wanted to come out and just film something and just go for a little wander. And sometimes, you know, that's absolutely fine. If you just want to get out and just film something, sometimes the joy of just getting out and creating a video is enough. I kind of have an idea of what I wanted to do, because obviously I want to talk to you guys about my camera settings and how I get this look for the footage to look as good as it does. And I haven't even really planned that. I know what the settings are, but I haven't like written out my bullet points of when I'll say stuff and how I'll say stuff. So basically what I'm rambling on about is it doesn't always have to be a planned video. And today you will see how scatty my video might be because I haven't planned it. There's this little thing that looks like it's not a market stall, but someone's got like jam and stuff out, which is interesting. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was lighting. So I want to film down this little road here, but the sun's behind me. And with your action camera, what you want to try and do is make sure that the sun is in front of you so that you're going to get the better quality footage. And so that's something that I wanted to say, is just make sure that you're front lit rather than backlit, because if you're backlit, then you're going to be a lot darker and the footage is going to look a little bit grainy. It's not going to look as great as if you've got the sun on you, or at least to the side. So if you stand with the sun kind of at a 45-degree angle, then that also makes nice lighting as well, because you've got a bit of contrast on you. So you've got half of you which is lit up and then the other half is a bit in shade, and it just makes a nice contrast. But wherever possible, just avoid going backlit. The sun's actually gone in behind the clouds now, so it doesn't matter so much. You can get some amazing footage when you shoot in the normal colour profile. In my last few videos, I've actually just shot in the normal colour profile just because it's quick and it's easy and I didn't have time to necessarily colour grade my footage. But if you just want to shoot without any fuss, then normal does a great job. You might have to adjust the EV meter a little bit, but yeah, normal footage looks really great. But if you do want to have the option to colour correct and colour grade the footage, then shooting in D-Log-M is going to give you that flexibility, because you're going to shoot in a flat colour profile and you're going to be able to do whatever you want with the footage. So to give you a really quick idea, this is the normal colour profile. I've made a couple of adjustments to the settings, so I think I've got it at -0.7 EV, because I feel like when it's on 0 EV then it can get a little bit overexposed. I'm shooting in auto exposure with everything else. Apart from the white balance, actually, I did set the white balance manually. There's a little trick that you can do with that, is if you hold your camera up in the scene and then you select auto white balance and then immediately switch to manual white balance, then that will set your white balance for you and give you the white balance for the scene. But auto white balance also does a really good job, and I find like if you're going from outdoors to indoors, then you'll definitely want to keep the white balance on auto so that you don't have to mess around with the settings when you go from that transition. And it also means that your footage won't look really weird if you go from outdoors to indoors, and the colour won't be all messed up. So yeah, right, I've just switched off auto white balance. No, I've switched on auto white balance just to give you an idea of how it looks when you go from indoors to outdoors. And you can just see how the footage changes. I'm kind of talking really low because, would you open this door? Going into church. That was a bit of a bang. I've also got auto low light image enhancement on, but I didn't see it kick in on the screen when I walked in. So what I might do is just stop recording and then record again and see if it comes on in here. Okay, so low light image enhancement have just been activated, and whilst I'm in here I just wanted to mention about setting grid lines. So I don't have the horizontal, the horizon balancing on because it's only at 2.7K, but I want to make sure that my footage is kind of straight and that the lines are straight. So I've enabled the guides on my camera so that I can line up the guides with straight lines in here. So that's something that you can do. It's not necessarily a setting for getting the best video footage in terms of the look aesthetically, but it's more so to do with just making sure that your footage is lined up. And yeah, it's just something that I thought I'd mention that could help you guys out. I don't know if I mentioned at the start of this clip that auto low light image enhancement just came on, so even though there's a window right here, it did enable it because I guess further back this way it was a little bit dark. So this is what it looks like. Let me go over here actually, away from the window. This is what the footage looks like in the lower light situation. So there's no light over here. This is quite dark. So this is what the footage is looking like. Okay, I want to just give you an idea of what it's like to go from somewhere where you've set your white balance manually from indoors to outdoors so that you can get an idea. So my white balance is set manually, it's set to 4600 Kelvin, and this is what the footage looks like going from in there to out here. I don't think it looks too bad on here. It might look a little bit blue, so I'm going to set it back to probably daylight, like 5500 Kelvin, or just do the little trick that I told you about earlier. So this is now the white balance set to 5500 Kelvin, and when I was going to do the little trick where you set it to auto and then set it to manual immediately, the Action 4 actually put it into 5600 Kelvin, so it was really close. And that's just the benefit of just going through manual white balance, setting manual white balance when you're going from indoors to outdoors or vice versa. And the Action 4 does a really good job actually, because it's got a colour temperature sensor on the front, which is trying to give you more accurate colours. So even if you didn't shoot in manual white balance anyway, and you just always shot in auto, you can do that whether you're going from a different setting like indoors to outdoors or vice versa. So you're just going to get decent colours anyway. So I would say, if you don't want to have to keep changing your white balance and potentially forget that you've switched from one to the other, just keep it in auto white balance, and the Action 4 is actually going to do a really good job for you anyway. Like I said earlier about normal and D-Log M, the Action 4 does really well in terms of dynamic range. So the sun's fully out now, and you can see the clouds in the sky behind me. I'm just looking at my screen and nothing's blown out, everything looks decent. And if I go like this, where the sun is behind me, so I'm backlit, it's actually not doing a bad job. But what I am going to do is switch back into, what's around there? Looks interesting. For a minute there I thought that this was someone's house and this was their driveway. It says private over there on the gate, but this is where that sign was about the jewellery studio, which I think is just here. I do think that that might be someone's house. Maybe they're just working out of it as their house. But it's cool though, it's a nice little building. It's just got so much character to it. I'm really enjoying walking around this place, it's great. My battery's starting to run out now, so let me just find somewhere to perch and I can change it. So I've just switched the camera back into D-Log M just because I like it. But back to what I was saying in the beginning where I was talking about planning, I can't remember what I've already said about my settings now. So I think I talked about D-Log M, normal, auto white balance. I guess the core settings, actually, I don't think I've talked to you about the core settings. So one of the things that I noticed in terms of like the sharpness and the noise reduction is, I've played around a lot with this, but I always say with anything that has sharpness to set it to low or off at least. So then you can add that sharpness back in post. So with my Action 4, I have the sharpness set to, let's go this way, I didn't come from this way. I have the sharpness set to -2, and then the noise reduction, I'm kind of fluctuating at the moment because I'm kind of going between -2 and -1. I quite liked the look of -2, but then the footage did look a tiny bit grainy. But I kind of liked that look, 'cause it almost looked like film grain. But at the moment I've got it at -1 just so that I can see. Oh. Just getting completely distracted now. But yeah, so I was saying -1, it's set to -1 at the moment. But what I'm going to do is set it back to -2. I've seen footage with it that I've shot in -1 because I've had it in this setting for a little while. And I still think I do prefer -2. But whether you shoot in -1 or -2 with a noise reduction, the footage is going to still look really good. But my preference, I think, is -2. So normally I shoot in the standard field of view because you don't get that warping on the edges. And at the moment I switched over to the wide field of view just so that you can see the difference and see what the footage looks like. And the Action 4 already has a pretty wide field of view anyway, just shooting in the standard profile, which is why I don't tend to shoot in wide if I'm doing a talking head. But if I know that I'm going to be filming the environment and I'm not going to have buildings towards the edges of the frame, then sometimes I will film in the wide field of view. But otherwise, it's just linear. Just realised that I don't actually know where I parked the car. Let's try this way. No, I came from that way. Let's go this way. Back to where I started with the jam. Found the car now as well.